For a while there, it seemed like Donald Trump's handlers had taken away his Truth Social account, that he wasn't allowed to use those tiny little thumbs in the middle of the night or really the middle of the morning to post insane things anymore. But that's not the case, because Donald Trump just made two of the craziest posts that we have ever seen from him. Not only in the first freaking out at the possibility that one or two or all of his nominees to his cabinet won't be confirmed, but then doing a bit of grifting. Yes, in the strangest way we've seen yet. And we are going to get into that full meltdown. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really means the world to me. Now, like I said, Donald Trump is panicking about his cabinet nominees. So before we get into his meltdown on Truth Social, I want to hear an update from Lawrence O'Donnell on one of them in Matt Gaetz.
Matt Gaetz's future is now completely up to Republicans in the United States Senate, who have already shown how willing they are to reject lobbying from Elon Musk, who today said this: "As for these accusations against him, I consider them worth less than nothing under our laws. A man is considered innocent until proven guilty. If A.G. Garland, an unprincipled douchebag, could have secured a conviction against Gaetz, he would have, but he knew he could not. Case closed." The only audience for that tweet is the United States Senate. And that is not the way Republican senators see federal criminal investigations of members of the House of Representatives for possible sex trafficking and possible criminal drug use. In the federal investigation Elon Musk refers to, Matt Gaetz's best friend, Joel Greenberg, pleaded guilty to 6 federal offenses: sex trafficking of a child, illegally producing a false identification document, aggravated identity theft, wire fraud, stalking, and conspiracy. Matt Gaetz's best friend, Joel Greenberg, is now serving a prison sentence of 11 years for those crimes. Not all cases of men paying for sex meet the federal criminal standard of proof for federal sex trafficking charges. And so, if Matt Gaetz escaped those federal charges, that does not mean that he did not, for example, commit statutory rape. And the Ethics Committee evidence in this case, as you will hear in a moment, it is that while he was a member of Congress, Matt Gaetz, in the state of Florida, had sex with a 17-year-old girl. In the state of Florida, the age of consent is 18. And so that incident may not be sex trafficking, but it does fit the age elements of statutory rape in Florida. In the under oath testimony that 2 young women gave to the House Ethics Committee, you will hear that when Matt Gaetz discovered the girl was 17 years old, he patiently stopped having sex with her until she turned 18. Elon Musk was there at the creation of the Gaetz for Attorney General campaign. Reports in the New York Times and elsewhere indicate that a plot was hatched on Donald Trump's plane among the 3 people in Trump world most disconnected from reality: Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and Matt Gaetz. The 3 of them thought Matt Gaetz for Attorney General was a brilliant idea. Reporting indicates the plot was hatched while Donald Trump's next White House chief of staff, the politically professional and astute Susie Wiles, was in another section of the plane. And now the New York Times is reporting that one of the geniuses who came up with the Gaetz for Attorney General idea now thinks he won't get confirmed. In his private conversations over the past few days, President-elect Donald J. Trump has admitted that his besieged choice for Attorney General, Matt Gaetz, has less than even odds of being confirmed by the Senate. So, on the same day that failed lobbyist Elon Musk goes all out in his public lobbying of the United States Senate for Matt Gaetz, Donald Trump allows it to be leaked to the New York Times that Donald Trump doesn't think Gaetz is going to get confirmed. Which one of them do you think is right?
It couldn't be clearer that Matt Gaetz is totally and completely unqualified for this role and dangerous as anyone ever nominated for it. That is clear. Even Donald Trump knows it. As we have previously reported, he thinks Matt Gaetz doesn't have that great of a chance of getting through. And it's the reason why he made this insane post on Truth Social. This is what the radical left lunatics do to people. They dirty them up, they destroy them, and then they spit them out. They are trying that right now with some great American patriots who are only trying to fix the mess that the Democrats have made of our country. We will win. MAGA. This is the talking point that Republicans are rolling with, that these allegations against Matt Gaetz have only come out since he was nominated to be Attorney General, even though the initial investigation into Matt Gaetz by the DOJ started in 2019 when Donald Trump was president. And these statements that have been made about Matt Gaetz from Republican members of Congress have been happening for years now. So it's just a ridiculous thing to say from Donald Trump, almost as ridiculous as this post he made right here. Coming soon, the limited edition 45 guitar, only 1,300 of each acoustic and electric guitars made, some personally signed. He is the president-elect of the United States, and he is still grifting. He is still grifting. Is this not embarrassing to us? Are we not humiliated by this guy about to be sworn in as the 47th president of the United States? It's almost as humiliating as his cabinet picks. Like I said, people completely unqualified for the job. And someone who called that out was Congresswoman Summer Lee right here.
Instead, Republicans are trying to bastardize the term DEI to be a slur. When Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson was up for confirmation and when Vice President Harris was added to the ticket, they called them DEI hires. They want you to believe that a Harvard graduate with over 20 years of experience, who happens to be a black woman, is not qualified, but a Fox News personality is qualified to run the Department of Defense, and the WWE executive is qualified to run the Department of Education.
So spot on. Republicans love to scream DEI when it's a person of color in a role that they have earned. Kamala Harris, Ketanji Brown Jackson, that's when they say it's DEI. But when it's Pete Hegseth, who has no experience that would be required to lead the DOD, it's totally fine. He's a patriot, and that's what qualifies him, because he wears American flag shirts and rides around in a truck. No, these people are not qualified. And they are dangerous. And it's hypocritical from Republicans. That's no shock. But speaking of more hypocrisy, it's what Jamie Raskin called Donald Trump out for right here.
In his first administration, President Trump all too often deliberately directed disaster aid based on the party politics of local leadership and past electoral performance, not the needs of the community and disaster survivors. In 2017, his administration denied 99% of the aid that North Carolina's Democratic governor requested as part of cleanup efforts after Hurricane Matthew. Also in 2017, after Hurricane Maria, President Trump blocked the full release of emergency assistance to Puerto Rico that was appropriated by us in Congress due to his unfounded belief that the destruction and death toll had been inflated to make him look bad. In 2018, after California suffered the deadliest and most destructive wildfire in its history, President Trump initially refused to approve disaster aid because of the state's liberal Democratic leanings. He reportedly later changed his mind after his staff provided him data showing that there were more Trump voters in Orange County, California, than there were in the entire state of Iowa. Now is the right time for all of us, Mr. Chairman, and I mean this, for all of us to agree that nobody in public office, no matter how high nor how low, should play partisan politics with disaster relief in the age of climate change.
I talked about this yesterday. I think it is important to set the story straight on the disaster relief that President Biden and Vice President Harris provided to states like North Carolina and Georgia after they were hit by devastating storms, because people need to trust these institutions to make sure that they will actually provide for them, that they will respond to disasters, which they did under Democratic presidents. But under Trump, that wasn't the case. And we need to call that out. Not that we want to sow doubt about whether these organizations will actually help people in need, but to point out that Donald Trump is willing to stop them. But that is not what we need, of course. And I'm glad Jamie Raskin was calling out that hypocrisy. And speaking of more hypocrisy, as we have talked about lately, Fox is loving athletes doing Trump's little dance, which is weird because I thought politics were supposed to stay out of sports. So CNN put together a compilation that I think is just so perfect of all the times Fox is going against their own word.
You watch sports to relax. You don't want politics in sports. You want to keep score of the game, not politics. We have a separation of church and state. Let's have a separation of sports and politics.
They're football players and they're paid to do a job. They're not paid to take stands on social issues on the field.
Now it's even going to sports, where you are suffering now if you're not fully on board with this liberal-leaning ideology. It's ridiculous. It's sports.
Must they run their mouths like that? It's always unwise to seek political advice from someone who gets paid $100 million a year to bounce a ball. Millions elected Trump to be their coach. So keep the political commentary to yourself, or as someone once said, shut up and dribble.
You know, the thing about it also, Dante, is that, to be honest, I'm not sure people are losing their minds over players doing the Trump dance on the field. It's fine. But they did lose their minds when NFL players like Colin Kaepernick did not take a political stance, but took a social justice stance. There's a distinction between those two things.
These people just couldn't be more hypocritical, could they? It's not shocking, but it's still always so sad every time. But every time they do it, we're going to call them out. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. Until next time, I'll see you soon.